I must admit, I am a simple man. If you send me a replay on failed negotiations, it's pretty good odds that I'm going to take a look at it. Can't guarantee I'll cast it, I just can't cast them all, but it's pretty good odds that I'm at the very least going to watch it. Today's map, going to be none other than one of my all-time favorites, a map that we pretty much always play on stream. That's Saturdays 12 to 4 PDT, by the way, in case you're interested in joining in on the fun. It's a classic. It's got dual navy lanes, it's got a big wide open front line, it's got a bunch of metal to fight over. It's, in my opinion, a much better version of the, just the game in general than Supremismus. I would say this is like, if you wanted to play Supremismus, but you wanted a little bit of spice in your life. You know, you were tired of the grits and the I don't know, the saltine crackers, I guess. Is that a meal? I'm trying to think of the most bland meal I could imagine. I guess like plain saltine, unsalted saltine crackers with unsweetened grits would probably be about the worst thing that I could imagine. If you're tired of that, aka all the glitters, I would definitely recommend giving this map a try. Try bringing it up in the Rotato. I also acknowledge that oftentimes when I say, you know, give these maps a try, there's not really much of a way to. You kind of have to wait for them to come up in the Rotato lobbies, and that doesn't happen all too often, especially with this one. So, unfortunately, it means you, yes you, I'm pointing at you through the camera right now, you have to be the go-getter that you are and start your own lobby, or at the very least try and take charge of one of the lobbies. I know it's daunting, but it is fun. Lovish! Going to be the name of the blue commander spawning right here on the front line as an Armada commander. It's going to be representing the Stud clan here at 45.8 open skill and going for some of those good old-fashioned Armada wind turbines. At the moment, we're pumping out some of those pawns with their little ammunition backpacks. Love to see it. Spawning all the way on the other side of the map. Zoom! Spawning all the way over here as the Red Cortex commander. It's going to be none other than Fiddler. Fiddler 112 to be specific. 111 iterations later, and we arrive at the 53.2. Am I reading that right? 53.76 open skill. My goodness. Okay, well. Oh, I apologize. Lovish was at the bottom of the leaderboard here thing that I was reading here in the lobby. Yeah, it's actually 45.8 open skill versus 53.76. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. I was thinking all of a sudden we were having this, like, 30 OS difference between these two commanders. No, this is definitely a little bit more balanced than I imagined. But gonna be playing as a Navy commander is kind of interesting here. Usually, well, okay, I'll say this. Navy is very important on this map. As we can see, as I hit this button and zoom out all the way, you can see there's two gigantic Navy lanes. So there's one on the left and one on the right, both of which are extremely important because both of which open up a gigantic runway path, a gigantic harassment path, directly into the back of both of these teams. So winning either of the Navy lanes can be a huge advantage because it also means you essentially win the other Navy lane once one of them falls. So it means that putting your best players on Navy makes a lot of sense. And indeed, it's why we see the blue and cyan commander in the water here for, pardon me, we actually have the powder blue commander and the cyan commander in the water here for the blue team. And we have, it looks like, going to be the red commander, the yellow commander in the water for the red. So stronger water for the red team. Stronger land here, slightly stronger land here for the blue. Let's zoom in on the action here. Oh, a little bit too far. There we go. Shuriken paralyzing a couple of those pawns out on the front line. Grunts moving forward here as everybody tries to vie for control over all of this metal. If you select one of these constructors here, we can see it's over 1,000. Most of it's been, or a bunch of it's been reclaimed, actually. I think it's closer to 1,500 metal total, all said and done on this center island. It can be a huge advantage if you manage to eat it all up on your own, or otherwise a gigantic advantage for your team if you manage to split it amongst all the frontliners. Obviously, the red team not too happy with the fact that, well, a whole bunch of that metal is now going back towards the blue team, so I'm certain they're going to be retaliating as best they can. Those shuriken out on the field make this really uncomfortable, though, because all of a sudden, you can't really guarantee that you can push forward on any side. Yeah, if your units just get paralyzed and they get traded out inefficiently, well, at the very least, there is the fighter. Okay. Fighter's coming in to shoot some of these down. It will snag 1, 2, 3. Ooh, can we get 4? We sure will. 4 of those shuriken do go down from the fighter. Scout plane goes down as well. Fighter coverage is securing this front line, but at the very least, those shuriken have done a great job of cleaning up a whole bunch of this little bit of a pesky gunboat in the backline right here as well for Abiyuyawa, a name that I'm certain I've come across before, and I'm certain I've butchered before as well. Navy commander's expanding nicely, and we do have a whole bunch of grunts looking to run on by. As the blue commander sends a little bit of a harassment force, trying to harass the yellow commander, shoot down some of those metal extractors, and deny a bunch of that metal to the naval commander is a huge advantage to the less open skill inclined powder blue commander here, Asrathi. Azrathi, at the very least, not a name I'm familiar with in the water here, so I'm excited to see if they can keep up with the Yellow Commander, who, to say the very least, has a couple more hours in the game. A couple of these scout boats here, the Seekers, they don't have any depth charge weapons, so they can't attack the submarine, but they can see it. That's important. We do have the Destroyer out as well, and that's quite nice. Anti-air shoots down the scout plane, which is also very nice. Another one does make it through, though. Slips through the defenses. Nicely done right here by the dark green commander for the blue team. Yeah, getting those scout planes into position here in order to actually, well, do a bunch of scouting, gather a bunch of information. One of probably the hardest things to remember when you're the air player is that you're also the intelligence player. You're in charge of essentially making sure that your team is aware of what's going on the map, making sure that everybody's in their positions and, well, guarding their lanes effectively. Ooh, no depth charges over here. Yikes. Oh, there we go. Okay, we do have a destroyer come out. Okay. You need that first destroyer on the field because it is your anti-submarine weapon. These submarines can be very pesky if they're left unchallenged, and that's why it's a pretty effective strategy to get an early submarine out and then guard it with a bunch of frigates or destroyers. Frigates, obviously, a little cheaper, easier to mass produce, and then if you can manage to snipe your enemy's destroyers, obviously that gives you a huge advantage. Pretty classic Armada build order here, just going for a 1-to-1 ratio of skaters and Corsair. Gives you a good balance of range to firepower. Also relatively cost efficient as well. But okay, red team has managed to stabilize on the front line. A bunch of the metal has already been extracted, but at the very least, Jason will be moving this frontline lab forward, and we're just going for a bajillion thugs. Some of you have reminded me, a bajillion is not an actual number. I'd like to remind you that I do not care. Aggravator's firing forward here. Devastating those static defenses here, but one by one as these thugs come out of the lab right now for the orange commander, this is going to become a problem. One thug, not an issue. Two thugs, a little bit worrying. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Suddenly these start to become really, really dangerous. Dangerous enough even to start blasting down these LLTs that have been set up here. And we are now officially well and away past the T1 era. Excuse me. You can tell I've still got a little bit of that throat coughage going on right here. Still working over it, but trucking on. Cheeky little torpedo launcher guarded by a bunch of walls right here. Torpedo launchers are actually very shallow. Like, they don't have much of a heightward presence. So yeah, these Rocketeers are going to struggle to hit it. Okay. An interesting but seemingly fairly effective strategy here coming out from the blue commander. Going to be using this torpedo launcher to guard against any kind of incursion, as those Rocketeers don't really have any way to attack that. Yeah, if they get in the water, they're just going to get shot down by the depth charge launcher here. Okay, I like that quite a lot. Durza, I believe this is a renamed Nizza. I could be wrong, though. At 40 open skill, definitely a commander worth their salt. Gonna be playing with some of those good old-fashioned Armada destroyers. They are... this is basically the riskiest strategy you can go for. It's also the highest caliber strategy, so it's kind of an all-in sort of a strategy, because you don't really have the frigates that you can kind of brawl with and deal a bunch of damage with. You have to make sure that you never lose one of these boats. Basically, if any one of these destroyers go down, your whole composition is ruined. You need every single one of these destroyers at this point in the game. The res sub's incredibly important to make sure that all these stay nice and well repaired. You also want to constantly be trading. That's the other thing. The units that are on the retreat are going to have the advantage, which is why neither one of these commanders really wants to engage. It's one of those weird things about Navy that kind of puts it into a strange stalemate a lot of the time, is that nobody really wants to engage because it does put you at a disadvantage. I'd love to see some sort of an address to that, but I don't know if there's really a solution, per se, as to just let gamers game. Destroyers firing away at each other. Yeah, these two commanders tickling each other, but neither one really wanting to make the full commitment here. Ooh, we do have a submarine. Uh-oh. One pesky submarine has made its way around. There, is a torpedo launcher. It will come up just in time to start firing away here. But I do believe this submarine will, at the very least, be able to snipe one more mechs before the torpedo launcher. Ooh, can finish the job. Oh, it does just barely kill it. That submarine tried to dodge, didn't quite effectively do it. Navy looking about dead even between these two commanders. One extra res sub right here for the red commander is always nice. A little bit of extra build power goes a long way, especially for Navy. These units have a lot of HP and they have a lot of damage. They have a lot of range and they have quite a high cost, so you sort of pay for a lot of good stuff. But now they're thinking about going in for the kill. Yeah. Oh, we have a response. It's big, it's bold, and it's thermonuclear. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Lich. Bombs away. Boom! Right in the middle of that gigantic composition of frigates and destroyers, and just like that, Fiddler 112 is sent back to the Stone Ages. Yeah, bomber coming around for a second pass. Nothing left to shut this down. We do have fighters pulled eventually, but already that bomber's going to get on out of there. Nicely done. That single bomb away can do enough damage to a navy to effectively win the game. Yeah, just like that, suddenly these frigates are forced into full retreat. There's nothing they can do. We're going for a Hail Mary play here, trying to sack the commander. Nice cancel right there from the red commander. Doesn't accidentally waste the comm.
Commander destroyed.
It's a Hail Mary of a play because obviously if you can sack that comm underneath all those units, you can effectively nuclear bomb the enemy as well here. But it looks like a fabulous trade on this left-hand side. It means we're in for a little bit of a yin-yang battle. Alrighty. Middle of the map, heavily contested still. Wow, that is an aggressive T2 lab coming up from the orange commander. The pink commander fighting on the front lines here as well. Those thugs have done wonderfully to secure all this. Nuclear bomber coming in. Bombs away, and boom, go the destroyers over here as well. My goodness, talk about a bomber worth its value. Each one of these destroyers is, what is that, 880, almost 900 metal. Means blowing up 3 of these has already paid for the nuclear bomber right here. Oh, a lot of fighters coming in here. Yeah, I don't think sending the bomber in again was the right move. It will eventually be destroyed, and I think even losing all these fighters is worth it yet. No, cries out the green commander as they lose that very precious tool. But already its damage has been done. Now, I am very curious why we haven't pushed forward right here. Looks like the red commander did eventually die. It did take out a, well, it did scuff up a bunch of these units, but all that metal went back to the cyan commander. So really, that's going to be 1 or 2 extra boats on the field, and that scaling can be huge. It can be really, really huge. Now, without some sort of investment from the team here, this is suddenly going to be an excellent opportunity right now for the blue team to counterattack with their boats. Let's see if they can make it happen. No T2 in the backline right here. It's worth noting for the Seafoam. Pardon me, the powder blue commander. Yeah, that's actually a gigantic oversight. Not handing out T2 to your naval players is basically like asking them to fight 4 enemies at once. The math doesn't, you know, it's not a direct correlation, but it's close enough that, you know, more or less. Flowers here. Ooh, a little far forward. Yikes, the commander's getting low. 22% left in that comm. Mesa's trying to trade out however they can. They don't really have the res bots to sustain against a superior force like this. So really all they can do is kind of kite around and try to be useful. But ultimately, Combi Walls, the tank commander here, in an excellent position. T2 Laboratory. Made up and running right here by the blue commander, sending a couple of those good old-fashioned Platypus flippy-flapping their way across the water here with their little toes tucked up underneath there. I guess they don't flippy-flappy. They have a little, like, motor thing under there. They have a butt motor. Yeah, these things have little butt motors. Okay, well, I always thought they just kicked their legs, but that's hilarious. Yeah, they have a little bit of a motor propelling them, it would seem. You know, despite taking a gigantic hit, did we see some sort of donation to the red commander? It doesn't look like it, but we might have seen some sort of support here, because this navy is suddenly rebuilt quite nicely for the red commander. I think largely it comes down to these T2 metal extractors, yeah. I mean, imagine having 4 times the economy of your opponent who is just stuck on T1. It really doesn't matter. No matter how many times you get bombed, if you can rebuild your navy 4 times, it just won't matter. You can trade inefficiently all you want, and a huge breakthrough over here. The blue team losing it at all fronts. Tech has paved the way right here as all of a sudden, well, the blue commander is finding some success at the very least. A couple of these good old-fashioned Platypus lasering across the front line here and devastating a whole bunch of these units. Res subs, and no repair on that HLT. Floating HLTs are actually quite powerful. They're quite a bit better than the actual regular HLTs. I would have liked to see a repair right there. Might have been able to do a little bit more work. Ultimately, not the end of the world. The T2 elsewhere on this map is doing tons and tons of work. These rocket spiders. Blowing apart the Janus. Hitting themselves and their friends along the way. But that is just how rocket spiders do. It is the nature of the recluse to fire wildly and ask questions later. Sure, it can come out to try an EMP. Not necessarily the most effective solution. They are fairly resistant to it. Oh, we're not going to kill the lab? Okay. Feels like we pulled back at an awkward time right there. We should have killed the laboratory and then pulled back. We're trading out over on this side. The clumped up units make these trades efficient for both teams. Little bit of AoE on the effect right here for the oppressor. Means that when those units are clumped up, it's getting a little bit more value. But the real value here is the res subs underneath, reclaiming right now for the red commander, controlling that wreck field quite a bit nicer then the blue comm. I think if we spread out these units and get a decent concave, we're going to stop taking a bunch of that splash damage and it'll help out quite a lot. I think this really is winnable right here for the Cyan Commander, but he just didn't quite pull the trigger, make the move at the exact right time. And unfortunately, in Navy, it really does come down to exact appropriate timing. Yeah, almost baiting with the commander right there, saying, hey, yeah, come on in, come try and kill this commander, just to jump on top with a whole bunch of frigates. Okay, this is the decisive play right here. Yeah, blasting down those destroyers one by one right here, using the combined naval force of the entire Navy, cutting this Navy directly in half, essentially. And now that res sub isn't, well, some of those res subs are in position to reclaim a whole bunch of this, yeah. Red Commander saving face and just reclaiming as much as possible, and going ahead and pumping out a whole bunch of those units right here. Oh, we're not going to snipe the res subs. Yikes. Killing these res subs is paramount. Still, though, the blue commander, Lovish, going on a tear right now. The the Platypus have made it all the way into the backliner base, as now they start to tear apart wind turbines. They're firing away here at the roughneck gunships. I mean, alright. I don't think these Platypus were intended to be the game winner right here, but all of a sudden they've effectively knocked out the entire Navy on the left-hand side. Okay, it ends up being a naval victory for hovercraft units. It is rare and very far in between that you will ever hear me say something as preposterous as that. Another Nuki B coming in. Ooh, for the lab. Anti-air is available. Oh, it doesn't drop its bomb. Oh, no. Yikes. Nuki B could have taken out the lab right there. That would have been super awkward, especially if the constructors had gone down. Oh, Bacon Dude with some kind of a play, though. We've got man in plane. You got it? Nice. Alright. One of the nice things about these heavy transports, they're real quick. Very, very quick. They don't have the same disadvantages as those medium transports like the Hephaestus. Ooh, Commander not in position here either. And it looks like the fighters have cleared out the airspace here of the T1 air fighter on the red side of the map. Wow. What a cheesy play right there for Bacon Dude. We are dropping the comm way over here. At least send a D-gun, sir. No D-gun. Alright. Platypus making their way up onto land once more over here. We'll cut back to the green commander as he makes his way towards this base. No LLTs, no nothing to stop this commander. A pit bull was started. It was a nice idea, but I don't think it'll come up in time. Well, I guess Bacon Dude could just stand. I don't think it's ideal, but it... Are we... No. Okay, we will stop it. I was getting very concerned right there for the green commander, who had a lovely play, but was making me a little bit worried for a second. And man, these Platypus have continued to do so much damage. Targeting down the BP is the right move right here. Obviously, once you kill one of those, it's easy to chain react the rest. Now suddenly there's no Air Force available here. We have to rebuild all that build power, and that takes forever. Pitbull is set up, though, and it will eventually clear a bunch of those out. We do have, whoa, a whole bunch of these pawns making their way to the base here, too. Fiends are available, though. Yeah, you know what? With the Fiends, I think this is all cleaned up quite nicely. Abductors in the air as well to try and paralyze a whole bunch of this. But my goodness, with a couple of swift and cheeky plays, the blue team has suddenly taken a huge advantage. Ducks and Sheldon pushing forward right here. This is a dangerous force, actually. Welders are started up, as well as a commander on cloak headed out. It is on hold fire as well, which is quite nice. No, it's too much damage. There's no way that this is a comeback right here. Yeah, this is there's definitely too much damage for the red team to recover, right? The entire left side is destroyed. We have the mexes coming up as well as the res subs, eating up all that juicy, juicy metal. And now we have the Platypus making their way around. I like the idea, but now all of a sudden, yeah, we even have the res subs eating up the entirety of the Navy over on the right-hand side. The Cyan Commander with complete control over here. In fact, the red team has left the game. Or the red commander, I should say, has left the game. Nobody taking? Oh. That's a big blunder. If there's one lesson I would love to push out here, if we could all learn one lesson from this game, it's please take your commanders. If your teammate leaves the game, take their stuff. Couple of counter-attacking spiders here trying to find some more value. Shuriken not doing a lot, but they're doing just barely enough, I think. Yeah, Fiend. Getting into the guts of those spiders, tearing them apart, one lava blast at a time. Incinerator blast, I don't know what they fire. I mean, it's fire, but it's definitely higher power than that, right? I feel like regular fire doesn't really hurt robots as badly as Fiend fire seems to. Yeah, a lot more T1 in this comp than I really realized. There are Sheldon, and the Duck is quite nice here, of course, but we've even got cloakable fusion reactors starting on the low ground for some reason. Alright, well, you know, when in Rome, you may as well start blasting away the cloakable fusion reactors that you find. This is... It's an awkward moment right here. Yeah, everybody trying to catch the Duck. Okay, Sharpshooter will be its ultimate annihilation. Its total annihilation, if you will. Thank you, thank you. I know some of you were just holding on to your last breath there as you were waited with bated breath for me to say that. Platypus tearing apart this base, and this game is over. Commander is destroyed. Resign vote is called. The entire base of the brown, red, pink, yellow. And moving forward here, the tan commanders are all going down. Maroon has been destroyed as well. All of a sudden, the red team is without a foot to stand on. One by one resigning right here as this game comes to its close. I guess the hero of this game has got to be Platypus. Indeed, Frog Leap says stupid Platypus. When pumped out at exactly the right time and exactly the right numbers, they seem to be basically unstoppable. Those good old-fashioned T2 floaty bots are able to do so much damage, and they have just enough HP to tussle with those T1 units that it seems like in big enough numbers they can definitely win a naval fight, hands down. Very, very cool to see. Last column, as the green commander points out here, Lovish does have the very last of all the commanders, which is a little bit of an issue, of course. If you're, you know, going to be looking for a target to snipe, it's going to be that very last commander. I don't think the red team knows exactly where it is, and they are sticking in this fight. We do have the T2 lab and a couple of fusions up and running for the red team. And we have enough fiends over here to defend, I believe, though. The LLT forest is hilarious as well as I speed up this game because I don't think this is a winnable state right here for the red team. Fiends, sharpshooters, heading out of the field. There's just not enough energy in the tank, though. Tank commander takes over, but again, there's, yeah, nowhere near enough energy here. We're starting up in Agio. Always a risky proposition. Well, there we go. I mean, okay, we kill a base. Fiends do manage to, at the very least, blast down one of the laboratories right here. Okay. Don't tell me. Don't tell me that after this extremely well-played, hard-fought battle right here between all of these commanders, it's going to come down to a handful of fiends that managed to break their way into the backline and shoot at an Agio that wasn't replaced. Oh, there's sharpshooters. Oh, no. One sharpshooter shot. Boom! Goes the Agio. All right, well.
Has died.
Oh, my goodness. Just like that, the Agio pops, and suddenly the air player and this land player over here on the right-hand side, Eradicator, and it looks like Bacon Dude 17865, are both knocked out of the game. Is this... Surely not. Surely there's not a way this comes back. The Marauders are now rolling out of the laboratory. We don't even have any fusions or aphis or anything like that. It's just straight up... Well, I guess we have the cloakable fusion in the Agio, but it's just straight up metal extractors and wind turbines producing all the resources here. We are back in the water for some reason. Despite having won the Navy ages ago, we are back in the water. I think, yeah, there we go. We do have the amphibious gantry to start producing some of those amphibious units. I mean, this is a nasty ball of units headed forward here. The sharpshooter make it very awkward to push into. Yeah, you need enough spam to break through all this, but you also need something to deal with the welders in front. It's one of the reasons why welder sharpshooter is one of the most dangerous unit compositions to fight. These gunships really would be better spent killing these sharpshooters first. And me and the Marauder can do a lot more work. But then again, killing the Hound is quite worth it as well. Ultimately, it feels like any one of these commanders is going to have to be speed bumped in order to save the bases here. But an excellent final push for the red team. Green commander. Still in the game. Letting everybody know that they're still playing. Oh. One commander has been spotted. It deguns down a whole bunch of boats, though. Talk about value. Yeah, Pipple offshore, too. So Pipples against T1 Yeah, that works pretty well.
Commander destroyed.
We are down to 2 commanders left. I would really hate to see the red team lose by commanders, because at this point, it feels like they don't need to. Oh man, the Fiends have just continued to push forward here. It is ridiculous how much damage these Fiends have done. Wiping out literally this entire side of the map here. Oh, there go the bombers.
Commander destroyed.
Bombers to take out the Fiend, or the commander right there for the tan, and the final commander for the red team is AFK. He's dancing his heart out in the midsection of this island. I could not have called this game. From the start of this game to the very end here, I certainly could not have called it. We have tons of anti-air available here in the form of 2 flag turrets. 3 flag turrets, actually. We're gonna fly right into them. Yeah, headbutt those flag turrets. Looks like the red team does prefer... Pardon me, the blue team does prefer to kill flag turrets by dropping planes on them. Hey, I prefer bombers, but to each your own. What a mess. What a mess of a game. At least we have some butlers moving out to try and reclaim a whole bunch of this. Gonna help with the unit production a whole lot right here. We have transports. What are we picking up? What? We've given transports to the green commander. I don't even know why. What are we grabbing? Oh. Okay, so we're microing T2 constructors onto the metal extractors to rebuild them. Huh. One thing I will say I like a lot right here is that the blue commander is actually sharing the Marauder to the teammates, just letting them go ahead and micro all these. I think that makes a lot of sense when you're effectively the only big economy left in a game. Just handing out the units to your teammates is usually the best bet. They'll figure out the best way to use them because they've been watching the game a lot closer than you will likely have been. Whole bunch of gunships headed in over here. Marauder have swept across this base over here, and the T1 light laser towers aren't really going to stand a chance. The Salamander's about to pop up out of the water as well and do a whole bunch of work. Very nice. A lot of rocket spooters. The Vanguard on the hill has just been firing away this entire time as well. Does the red team really have a Hail Mary to get back into this game? I don't think so. No air power. Their ground forces are devastated. They do have a Mammoth that just rolled out of the laboratory. Marauder apparently did not see the commander over here. Oh, must not have. Okay. Build power goes down. And this is why you should never just quit, says Freya Valentine. As optimistic as that is, I will say, the blue team definitely had an advantage. Ever since the left-hand side of Navy was destroyed,
Commander
it meant that
has died.
those nuclear bombs were ever so more effective on the right-hand side. And one by one, the red team forces were crippled. Well, what an exciting game back and forth right there. The red team really making a run for their very last stretch here, trying to do as much damage as possible, but weren't quite able to hold on to the little land that they had left. It'll be the blue team that takes the win in this crazy match beyond all reason. Thanks a ton for watching. If you did enjoy, of course, feel free to like and subscribe and join the Brightworks by clicking on that link that takes you to the Discord channel down below in the description section. And I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.